They say our village is peaceful, and in many ways that is true. We are surrounded by green hills, red earth, and the constant hum of crickets in the night. But peace, I've come to learn, is a fragile thing. Sometimes it hides shadows you don't want to see until they call your name. This story happened over 20 years ago, but I remember it like yesterday. I was about 16 at the time. My father, Olokun, was one of the elders in our village, Alaba, and my mother sold pap and fried akara in the morning market. We lived a modest life, not rich, not poor, just enough to eat, enough to sleep peacefully at night. I had a close friend, Ayo. He was 2 years older, wiry like a bamboo stick, with laughter that echoed across the village. He was the kind of boy who could climb the tallest palm tree without breaking a sweat. We grew up together, fetching water, playing Ayo, stealing mangoes from Baba Adi's compound. He was like my brother. But everything began to change the year Ayo's father, Pa Rufus, died. Pa Rufus was not a kind man. Even as a boy, I sensed something dark in him. People in the village said he dabbled in things. Some said he used Ogun. Others said he spoke to things that don't belong in the land of the living. But no one ever said these things to his face. He walked with a limp and carried a cane that thudded on the ground like a drumbeat of fear. The man had a stare that made dogs whimper and children fall silent. When he died, the village felt lighter. I know it's a cruel thing to say, but I would be lying if I said anyone wept loud tears. His death was sudden. Some say he fell into convulsions at night and never woke up. Others whispered he was dragged into the ground by the very spirits he served. He left his compound to Ayo, his only son. Ayo was just 18 then, and the house was more burden than blessing. It was old, with walls that seemed to breathe at night, and a backyard overgrown with strange weeds and thorny trees that bore no fruit. A few days after the burial, Ayo started acting strangely. At first, it was small things. He stopped hanging out with us in the evenings. He said he had chores, that the compound needed cleaning. Then he began walking alone into the forest near the back of his father's house. When I asked him what he was doing there, he smiled and said, "Listening." "Listening to what?" I asked. "The ground," he replied. "He speaks sometimes." I thought he was joking. We laughed it off, but soon the laughter died. One evening I went to visit him. The sun was setting, and that orange light spilled across the roofs like melted gold. I walked into his compound and called out his name. No response. I walked around to the back of the house, and that's when I heard it. A voice, but not Ayo's. It was low and deep, like someone speaking into a calabash filled with water, muffled, distant, and it was coming from inside the earth. I froze. It was saying something in Yoruba, but not our regular dialect. It sounded older, heavier, like the kind of Yoruba that only the elders used when pouring libation at ancestral shrines. Then I saw Ayo, kneeling beside a mound of earth, his ear pressed to the soil like someone listening for footsteps underground. I called out his name. He didn't move. I called again, louder. He looked up slowly, like someone waking from a dream. His eyes were wrong, empty, yet full, like there was someone else behind them, watching through him. "Ayo," I said. "What are you doing?" He smiled, but it wasn't the Ayo I knew. "They've started teaching me," he said. I turned and ran. The next day I went to my father. "Baba," I said, "something is wrong with Ayo. I think his father left something behind." My father listened quietly. He didn't interrupt. When I finished, he said something I'll never forget. "Some inherit land, others inherit war." He didn't waste time. That same evening he called 3 other elders, Baba Onike, Mama Efeoma, and Chief Igbayelola, and they all followed me to Ayo's compound. When we got there, Ayo was already waiting, but he wasn't alone. The backyard was lined with small mounds, like tiny graves, and standing in the center was a large wooden staff carved with symbols. I didn't recognize. My skin crawled just looking at it. Ayo stood beside it, short, eyes shining like whetstones. You shouldn't be here, he said, voice hollow. My father stepped forward. Ayo, this path is not for you. Your father walked it and see where it led him. We can help you. Let us burn this place. Let us cleanse it. Ayo smiled. You don't understand. The ground has chosen me. It feeds me. It knows me. Then he began to chant. The soil beneath his feet started to shift. The air became heavy, the kind of heavy that makes your knees weak. The mounds began to tremble. My heart pounded. That's when Mama Avioma stepped forward, clutching a gourd of water from the village shrine. She smashed it on the staff. A scream tore through the air, not Ayo's, not human. A deep, guttural roar that shook the trees. The staff caught fire, even though there was no flame. It burned with a blue light, cold and eerie. Ayo collapsed. The ground stopped shaking. When he came to, he was crying. I didn't want this, he said, clutching his chest. But after he died, the voice kept calling. I didn't know how to silence it. My father knelt beside him. We do, but you must let us help. That night, the elders performed rites. They said old prayers, poured libations, and buried the ashes of the staff deep in the forest, where no man walks. They cleansed Ayo's compound with herbs and chants that only the most senior of elders knew. Ayo never fully returned to the way he was. He became quieter, more thoughtful. But he lived and walked the land, married, had children. He never again spoke of the voice. But sometimes, late at night, when I walk past that part of the village, I swear I still hear something. A whisper under the soil, calling, waiting. Some inherit land, some inherit war.